of news, right? And of course, we all have different experiences in news, different times that we've been in this industry as well. Lisa, you're about 25 years?
Oh, I wish it was 25 years. No, how old am I? Let's see. I actually started when I was 18. I got a very amazing internship at another TV station and then kind of worked my way through college. So it's been over 30.
Over 30. Okay, and I've been in getting close to 10 years. What about you, Jen?
Oh my, about 6 years. Yeah, started web producing first, and yeah, so 6 years total. Yeah, I did some web producing in college part time, and then that became full time, and then got it and doing stuff on air. So total starting then about 6 years now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm probably on the low end there, but like Jen, I started off answering phone calls from viewers at my college newsroom, and now I'd say I'm probably 5 or 6 years deep.
Yeah,
it
goes
so
by
well.
fast.
You
Yeah,
guys are doing so well.
So obviously we all have different experiences, but we've also been in the news industry long enough to see it change quite a bit over the years. And I mean, I'll tell you, when I first started, like anchoring especially, I had a news director every day wear that blazer. Like, the blazer has to be on every single day. And I was just like, you're really cramping my style here, because I'm not trying to be a 40-year-old attorney here, I want to be professional, but
fashionable.
But at the same time, I want to represent who I am, and professional but fashionable. And that was something that I was just, I had a hard time getting over that. I was just like, every day, black blazer. So I would mix up my jewelry a lot more and stuff. But I feel like over just the past 5 years even, it's acceptable to wear no blazer and to wear, sleeveless. And
look at Jen's arms showing today.
I know, but people used to get offended about that. Your arms are showing on it.
Yes.
And
it's so funny you say that, because even my freshman year, we would do some on-air work just here and there, little entertainment stuff. And my news director in college, I remember people getting written up for not wearing pantyhose in the studio.
Really?
That was a thing, as little as 5 years ago. That statement jewelry was a big thing. Some people didn't like that. They thought it was distracting. I feel like curly hair has become more acceptable too. Natural hair.
Long hair.
Long hair.
Yeah. I had to cut my hair when I first got into the news industry. It was probably about your length, and it was like, nope, got to be collarbone. And I was just why?
It's so interesting you said the pantyhose thing, because I thought I was going to shock you by saying that. No. Because 30 years ago, of course, when I was in college and I had my other job at the same time, I would wear my little dress and my pantyhose and my little shoes to my class in the morning, and then I would go to my job after. Why it didn't dawn on me to bring a bag and, change, I don't know. But I lived out of town and had to drive in. But yeah, we wore pantyhose. And I remember another job I had where I was like a secretary at a company, and we were the lowest paid lowest paid people in the entire agency that I worked at. But yet we were expected to have our clothes perfect. You had to have a dress, you had to have the pantyhose and everything, and we were making $6 an hour or something. And I know men have expense in suits, I get that, but I just don't think that they are as scrutinized.
I will 100% agree with that. And you can just tell, especially in our industry, just from the viewer comments that we get compared to some of the men.
Some of our viewers are great.
They're wonderful, and we appreciate every single one of them. But yes, some of them are very opinionated.
Yeah, in fact, some of them might be writing something right now as they watch this on digital. They might be going, I hate what Lisa has on,
What is she wearing?
I've actually had viewers email me telling me that another woman on my shift should wear pantyhose in the winter, or tights.
And Lauren, would you mind going into that with her for me?
Right, let me just set her down. It's like, no, you're lucky I'm wearing tights. It's just cold out. It's a personal choice.
Right.
It does not affect you.
But it doesn't. And they get it right in there on things that, so many calls over the years, and you want to say to them, I'm going to go to your workplace, if you don't mind.
What to wear.
I'd like to go see how you're doing at your workplace, and just kind of see how things are going, and then I'm going to weigh in on how that's going.
Well, and that's what's really difficult about our industry, especially starting out, is that your learning curve is in the public eye. You know, like, and we find that, I think, a lot with new reporters that we get too. It's like, I feel like every time I see like someone's first live shot, I get nervous for them, because I remember that feeling, and I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm awful at this, I'm never gonna get it, and you beat yourself up so much, and it's like when you hear other people beating you up, it's kind of frustrating, you know, like you really get down on yourself. So every time that we have a new reporter come in, I'm like, hey, you're doing okay, you know, just take it one step at a time and you'll get there. And I think that goes pretty much not just in our industry, but any workplace environment. Like, there's a learning curve, and you know, like, times change, and you have to go with the flow.
What about the way that women are perceived in the workplace? You know, I can think back to before there was concern about sexual harassment, very openly discussed. You know, there would be a dirty joke, and nobody thought twice about it, and they would just tell a dirty joke. And now that's really kind of like, don't do that. And there were times like when men that were older or whatever, they would treat you more like you were their daughter or granddaughter and not their coworker. How many of you have had an older man come up to you and say, smile? And you're like, what? Why do I owe you a smile? I don't get that. You know, so that used to be more a prominent thing, and I'm sure it still exists today. Fortunately, not so much where we work.
And I think also women are more empowered now to say something or react in a way that, you know, just to tell someone like, that's not okay, or just in the way you carry yourself, you're less likely to hear things like that, or someone say something like that. You know, now I'm prepared if someone tells me to smile. You know, I have an answer for you. It's like, you know, like you said, like, why? Yeah, we're like, why? You're just like, oh, smile looks so pretty when you smile. You know,
show me a pretty smile.
You look better when you don't talk. How about that? You know, like, because it's just so weird. Because sometimes you just don't know what someone is going through, whether you're having a bad day or whether
you're just
thinking
in the
about
middle of something.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're just working on what's in front of you.
And he would never say that to a man.
Exactly.
You know, to smile. You know.
Yeah. Be pretty, smile.
Yeah.
You're here to be pretty.
Well, going back to, you know, the hair and how everything's changed, that's a conversation I've had too with like we have coaches that sometimes look at, because we are in a visual medium, what you look like and how you present yourself on TV does matter. So I was worried about that. You know, my hair, like, I want to do something different with my hair. I want to let my hair grow longer. And my talent coach was like, you know, you be you. You are 26 years old. Like, that's what you have to look like. And I was surprised when he said that, because he's older and he's a man. And he's like, you know, the industry is changing. And yes, you do want to look professional, but you don't have to look older. If you are 26, 27, that's what you're going to look like. Now, he is more careful about, like, you know, the patterns and things like that, things that are distracting. So sometimes I push the limit a little bit with the patterns when I like to but you know, just keeping it professional. I think there's a balance there. You can be yourself, you can be young and still be professional.
I think there are definitely some workplace issues that happen behind the scenes too. Like Lisa and I were talking yesterday about the gender pay gap. And Lisa is fortunate enough to know what everyone in our building makes. So, I mean, you were
in our newsroom, let's be clear.
Okay.
I don't know everybody.
That's my little building. Our little bubble. And so, you know, we were kind of talking about that and how that's changed over the years too. But, you know, it's hard to speak for every industry because we only know ours.
And it's like 70 cents to the dollar, and in a lot of industries where women are paid less. And I don't get that sense in just my experience in our room. I mean, we pay based on your experience and what you bring to the table. We want people to be the same person that they interviewed as, you know, and that's kind of what we bought when we made the deal. You know, the person who walks in everybody interviews beautifully. And that's who we want. That's who we want every single day. And if you deliver that every day, you are more than worth the money that you're paid.
We were talking a little bit about this yesterday, Lisa, and I said, you know, a lot of times, especially younger women, when you're inexperienced and you maybe have had 2 or 3 interviews and you're getting your first job or second job, you don't know how to negotiate pay. How do you even start that conversation? And I ask you this, you know, as the person who is hiring people now, what advice would you have for a young woman who is going for her first interview or first job? How do you start that conversation about money. How much money am I going to be making? Is it rude to talk about money? How do we go about starting this conversation?
I always compare it to dating. You know, when you're dating somebody, wouldn't it be nice if on the first date you could say to the guy, do you want to have kids? Right? Because if you don't want to have kids, it's a deal breaker. And you're a great guy, but it's a deal breaker.
Right.
Wouldn't it be nice if you could? But he's going to freak out if you go there on day one.
He's going to ask for the check. Right?
Yes, exactly. Same thing with, a job interview. I wouldn't do it on the first initial call, the first initial, sit down. But it's okay to bring it up pretty soon, because especially if you're from another state and it might involve an airline ticket to get you here for an interview, I would love for that person to feel comfortable to say, hey, you know what? Our time is so valuable. What's the pay range on this so that I know that it'll fit for my life and that it'll work out for you too? That way we're not wasting each other's time. And I was telling Jim when we talked about it, I said, I think I'm going to be that person who hires it says, let's get the money out from the get-go. And if it doesn't work for you for this salary, hey, no hard feelings, it's business. It's not personal. I don't even know you well enough for it to be personal.
Right.
Let's get the money out on the table. And then, boy, after that is done and that elephant can leave the room, we can really talk about the job and we can talk about what your talents are.
Even in other industries as well. I had a close friend who had been in the same job for probably about 5 years or so, and felt like it was time for a raise, like a pretty good raise. I just graduated college, had a lot of experience, and was like, okay, it's time to get bumped up. She's like, but I'm not quite sure like how to approach my boss about that. And so she did. She came back to me and she was like, well, this is what they told me. And I think that's pretty good to make for a woman. And that stuck out in my head so much. I was like, what do you mean for a woman? Like know your worth, know your value, know your competence, and asking and getting what you deserve, because it's not just a woman thing. It's not just a man thing,
it's for your skill.
It's for your skill set. Yeah. And that just always stuck with me. And I wish I had better advice for her at the time, because I was just like dumbstruck almost. Like, don't like put yourself down, like step up on that pedestal, ask for what you want and negotiate it. And if you don't know how to negotiate, find someone who can help you do it. That's the first step in really getting closer to your goal, is admitting, okay, I don't know how to do this, but I'm going to get some advice from somebody who can help me, and then I'm going to learn along the way. That way it'll help me in my next job, And
you don't want to be ridiculous about what you want. You don't want to be, hey, I need a 40% raise. Yeah. That's very difficult. Companies have budgets. They can't just pull that out of the air. So yeah, get some advice, and you can get that good advice from someone who will say, hey, that's not realistic.
Exactly, and then approach it that way. But yeah, that just struck out at me so much. She was like, that's pretty good for a woman, right? I was like, what? No.
And my advice to your friend and to others would just be to enter the conversation by saying, I am so happy working here. I love everything that I have learned and the opportunities that I've been given here. I've grown a lot. And in that growth, I feel like I've actually contributed something to the day-to-day that makes me valuable as well. Wouldn't you agree, Lisa or Jen? Back and forth. And then I would say yes. And then you say, hey, this isn't a personal thing at all, but from a business standpoint, I do feel like I am deserving of a raise. Is there a way that we can open up a dialogue about that?
I was actually listening to a podcast again. Kind of talked a little bit about
a way of life.
And I even told you this yesterday, Lisa, that one of their advices for people looking for a raise or something like that is you have to go into these conversations thinking exactly that. This is not personal, this is business, and it's not just about I am asking you for something. It's about, like you mentioned, here's the value that I bring to this company, these are my skills and this is the value I bring. Another podcast too, and I wish I could remember exactly which ones. I think that first one I mentioned, it's called How to Lose Money, and every time they interview someone, either a business owner or someone, on how they lost money and those failures and how they came back from that. But anyway, another podcast talked about how it's not personal. Now I lost my train. Let's see what else.
Just think about it.
Yeah, that it's not personal, that it's business, it's the value that you add to the company. The next thing was
important.
very important.
I would love to hear also from somebody while you're thinking about that, Jen. I would
Yeah.
also love to hear from somebody that they want to stay.
Yeah.
In our industry, y'all, I'm telling you.
I feel like Lisa's calling us out right now.
I tell you, this idea of what? You need me to stay here 3 whole years? Yeah, you know, if somebody could say, I'm really happy here, I love what I'm doing here, and I want to stay here for a little while, that would be great. I know that opportunities might come up and you can't resist them. I get that. I get that something just presents, but you guys are the most important thing in my newsroom. Without question, are the human beings I work with. And if I could get them to be happy enough to want to stay and do the work together a little longer, not forever, but a little longer, that'd be great. So you could write that down. I will stay longer.
I stayed longer.
You did.
This is my second contract here.
I know.
And we hear that from the viewers a lot too. They will sometimes say, you know, you are so good, but I know you're going to be leaving soon because the good ones always leave. So that's good to hear that. You know, thanks for watching and thanks for letting us know that you like our work. But like you said, you know, sometimes life happens, and I think one of the big reasons why when we have a good newsroom, we have great coworkers. So we were talking about this earlier too. We don't have a toxic work environment. That makes it so much easier for you to consider staying. Yeah. So when my first contract was up, Chuck, our former news director, kept telling me, you know, don't leave yet.
We have something happening
for you. Don't leave yet. So.
But one thing I want to explain about why so many people do leave, and in our industry it's very different. Most people are trying to get back to their families. And boy, I get it. I totally get that. So if you're living in a state that your whole family is somewhere else, of course you're wanting to get back to them. So they have really good reasons. These are not frivolous people that are just like, I'm out, you know. They want to get to the people they love.
Yeah. And you know, spouses play a big role in that too, because I'm started in my home market, just like Lauren is in her home market right now. But my husband's from Missouri, so we found like Springfield was right in the middle. So we really started like putting our eyeball on Springfield, and luckily it all worked out. But yeah, like you know, I still have a lot of Arkansas followers that say, why don't you come back home? You know, like we miss you, like come back home, because I was there about 5 years, and yeah, I get that all the time. It's just like, you know, like sometimes sacrifice comes with, you know, with your family, like with your spouse, and you just have to, weigh what's more important, and family is the most important, and now we're like split both ways to get to each family, and
happy medium.
It's a happy medium.
Yeah. Did you come up with your other thing?
No. I'm going to remember when I leave here and I get in the car. And
You'll be getting ready to
that's
notice
what
it
it was. No, it's not going to
It's gone.
happen. We started talking about something different.